Jimmy, you ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is Monday, October 4th, 2021. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m. Welcome to the meeting of the Mayor and City Council, Havre, Grace. I will call the roll. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson. Here. Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
All council members are present and accounted for. If everyone could kindly join for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could kindly ask everybody to remain standing as I call forward Pastor Jim Sterner, Webster Congregational Christian Church of the United Church of Christ. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Welcome back.
Mayor, it's always a pleasure to be here. You guys are great, and we are so thankful for your service.
Thank you, sir.
With that, let us pray. God of changing leaves, and Halloween decorations, and pumpkin spice lattes, we come to you in prayer. We are so thankful that we woke up this morning and we remembered who we were and realized that we had work to do and a mission to accomplish. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for our health. We thank you for the health of our families and our loved ones, something that we don't take for granted so much anymore. We thank you for food and clothing and shelter and all those things that we sometimes forget to be thankful for. God of shorter days and longer nights, homecoming dances and apple cider, we come to you this evening mindful that not every community in the United States is as blessed as this one is at this time. So we reach out to you, God, and pray for those who are battling COVID, especially in Alaska and in New Orleans and Louisiana, in Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, and Texas, and all over the country, God, but especially in those places, and Wyoming. And we just ask that you bless the people who have been stricken with COVID, those who are recovering, those who are battling it, especially our doctors and nurses, physicians, those hospital workers, pharmacists, chaplains, and all who are doing the work to battle this dreaded disease. And help us to remember ourselves that it's not over, and help us to appreciate what we have. God of frost on pumpkins and Oktoberfests and Ravens football games, we are just grateful that we have a job to do, and we ask, God, that we do it well. We ask that you be with all the members of our police department here in Havre de Grace, all the members of our fire department, all the members of our armed services, and this city council. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage, and grant us discernment as we do your work for the city of Havre de Grace, that it can continue to be a beacon for the state of Maryland, the United States, and the rest of the world. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, thank you so much. Your words are always very meaningful. We'll go to item 5, the approval of the minutes. We have City Council meeting minutes of September 20th, and we also have City Council special meeting minutes from September 16th. Item A, City Council minutes from September 20th, 2021. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. City Council minutes from September 20, 2021 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, City Council special meeting minutes from September 16, 2021. Motion to approve.
So move.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council special meeting minutes are approved 6-0 in the affirmative for September 16, 2021. We're going to go to item number 6, comments from citizens. As a reminder, we changed our format. We used to have comments from citizens on agenda items first, and then comments from citizens on general city business we'd have at the end of the meeting. We've changed that to item 6, so comments from citizens at this point of the meeting could be about agenda items or it could be about any topic. We won't have people wait till the end of the council meetings anymore. So I always go to the forms that are pre-filled out first online before I call on the audience in general. I do have one pre-filled out form, and I'd like to call forward Kevin Wilson, Kyle Hurst, and Mr. Brian Banks.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name's Kyle Hurst. I'm one of the owners of Battery Island Brewing Company, and my business partner and associate Kevin Wilson is currently passing out a handout, which will kind of go over what we hope to discuss in the next few minutes as part of the agenda item. So, first and foremost, bottom line up front, what we're asking to do is put a food truck on private property that we lease from Mr. Brian Bangs in order to support our local brewery operation. Looking at Ordinance 1039, which is primarily what this concerns, there is a stipulation, I believe, that says written approval from the owner of that private property, which we do have from Mr. Banks. Now, in some discussions with some members of the City Council, there is some concern about the city's right-of-way and potentially that conflict with 1039. We want to, one, ask for the City Council's approval to put that food truck on there, and this would be 1-2 days a week. They'd be closing before 8 p.m. I mean, we have very limited hours as is, and we don't expect to have a food truck there during our entire hours of operation. With that being said, we did look into some of the city code and some of the City Council's previous motions, and we did find some precedent for this. They have had, City Council has approved permanent structures on the city's right-of-way to include, fences and decks for a lot of residential, as well as leased some city right-of-way property to Creole de Gras, I think in 2019. So what we think is that although there may be some concern with including food trucks within the city limits, because I know 1039 has identified those 2 locations, we think the benefit outweighs whatever detriment that we have. I mean, we don't have a big facility. We're not going to fill up an entire dining room of people just for this food truck. But what we do believe is that this food truck is going to provide a variety of food and offerings that may not be available in the city to date. I mean, things like Korean barbecue, Thai food, Southern barbecue, Greek food, things that would not directly compete and are also disparate market segments of the food industry, particularly quick bites, cheaper food served outdoors. We also believe that this will help stimulate visitation and tourism within the city and help bring in crowds, not just to ourselves, but to the city on Washington Street. Kevin, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I'd say that we believe that the food trucks there behind the brewery at 361 Congress would be complementary to the council's vision of where the downtown is going in the future. They provide affordable, healthy, local food served by local employees to local customers. And in fact, a couple of the restaurants in town, River City and McGregor's, already have catering food trucks of their own, so they would be able to capitalize on this opportunity also, and we would definitely offer that to them. So we're just hoping that our vision of how this would work out can be aligned with it on private property, but I think it would be into the right-of-way somewhat, but not to include the sidewalk, like we wouldn't be extending out over the sidewalk or running water or electrical lines out over the sidewalk. confined to the private property, not on the sidewalk, but probably into the right of way.
Temporarily, Yeah.
While the
some
trucks
hour,
are
during hours of
operation.
operation.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. So you mentioned a variety of food offerings, so, and then you also talked about McGregor's and River City, so it sounds like the food trucks that would come in would be variable, or they would swap out each week. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, ma'am, that is our intent, and
Okay,
we
so-
would try not to repeat offerings that were already available in the city, unless it was like a McGregor's food truck, which they do offer a slightly different menu than the restaurant itself. And we have a very good relationship with La Cucina and Boca Mexa Taqueria, so we wouldn't want to keep that type of food. It would be things that probably, or that were not offered within the city and on a rotation.
Okay. I think I had something else and I lost my.
Council President? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Zinner, go ahead.
Okay. No, I think that's it. That was my primary question based on what you were telling us here.
Yes, ma'am.
Council President?
You said it's not going to compete with La Cucina. Do you have their buy-in for this proposal?
We
you
have not
talked to
spoken with them
relative to that?
for this proposal, sir. We believe that, I mean, just looking at the number of people that are purchasing food at our facility, looking to actually have a meal, the impact would be negligible for how many people actually venture to La Cucina on a daily basis.
I understand what you're saying. My question is, have
Correct,
you
sir.
talked to them personally and got their buy-in?
So we have not talked to Gino
Okay.
or either of his sons yet, but if that was the showstoppers, that was the linchpin, and we're happy not to have pizza or Italian food trucks in our spot, and then there'd be no. I mean, he's a great neighbor. We support each other all the time. The most common food brought into the brewery is his pizza. And if that was what was important, if that's what got this done, then we don't have Italian food trucks behind.
Okay.
Any other questions from council?
Sort of,
Councilmember
I
Zinner?
had another question, yes. So I'm assuming then that you would guarantee that all of the food trucks that come in would be already certified by the Department of Health? And that wouldn't be something that would have to be done after the fact? I mean, it have to be, so it would be, you would follow the same regulations that we have for food trucks when we have a festival and we have food trucks in the city, because they all follow those health regulations?
Yes, ma'am. That would be something we would make sure, so there'd be licensed, approved food trucks that would be able to be sold anywhere. I guess the two locations are already approved within the city, but elsewhere in Harford County, so they would be 100% approved and inspected by the health department.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Robertson?
I guess I have a question for the administration. Would this be like a lease agreement situation for that tiny bit of city property that they would be using?
Thank you. So it creates a problem with our current policy of following a principle that commercial enterprises don't profit off city property, because in the past we had conflicts with McGregor's, with Creole de Gras, which is now Creole de Gras, which actually was the prior Crazy Sweet, I think. So historically in the city, a number of businesses have encroached on city property and has created title problems. So we've been trying to do is reclaim all of our rights of way and provide very limited access for use. So we would have to actually amend our ordinance on food trucks in order to allow this, because right now food trucks are only allowed in certain places in town. So this would require action by city council. They can't just say yay or nay. They'd have to have a public hearing and amend the city ordinance. So I believe right now they're allowed in Hutchins Park and over by the Lockhouse. So, but in terms of the leasing, we've been moving away from any long-term leases or any licenses or leases that would benefit commercial enterprises, because there's case law that says city property cannot be used to benefit one business over another. We've got to allow access to our public property to everybody. So it creates a little bit of a discord between what we're required to do with city property and what not. So whether it's on private property, that then falls under ordinance. But if it's city property, we've been moving toward a trend of not allowing city property, with the exception of things like First Fridays, or when there was COVID, we allowed the use of the sidewalks and streets to have some outdoor dining in an emergency setting. But outside of that, the past 2 to 3 years, we've been moving away from leasing city property for profit enterprises, outside of the city parks where it would be open to everybody.
We believe this is private property, the city has it right.
Correct. So if it's just on private property, that would require a change to the city zoning code within, well, actually, no, if it's only on private property, I guess it is allowed with the consent of the landowner. So then I guess, assuming the other requirements are met, then that would have to be submitted as part of the regular permitting process.
So how much city right-of-way are we talking about here?
I didn't see the survey. I know we had it surveyed.
Diagram, it's the maximum value to the sidewalk there, I think, is 22 feet, but the average food truck is about 16 to 8. They're not all the same size, so
Okay, so is what we're looking at actual city property, or is that private property?
it's private property, but the city has a right of way through, the way I understand it.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
So to answer that question, so April has Shane actually had Mr. Thompson do the survey of the intersection of Congress and Washington, and that was due to a kind of a part of the pencil lawsuit that we were going through, and also just to get an understanding of the true width of and meets and bounds of Congress Avenue coming up. Congress Avenue and Union Avenue were the two only streets in the city of Havre that have a much larger width than any other city street. Mr. Thompson sent the survey in. I just passed it over to the city attorney. It appears, based on the survey, that the area that's depicted on the, I would call it the north side of the sidewalk, is part of the city right-of-way. In fact, if you go, if you look at Chris's Barber Shop on Washington, it appears up into that wall is actually on the city right-of-way as it goes up, based on the survey that we have. So that's where a lot of this discrepancy is. These gentlemen are perfectly correct. If the pad that they have depicted was totally on Mr. Bangs' property, there's no issue, because you can operate on private property. That's not an issue. But this appears that it is on the city right-of-way, and we'll just get that confirmed through the city attorney.
Yeah, and this arises literally out of the Hutchins Park lawsuit, and we've been trying to do research over how, over the course of time, our 132 right-of-way for Congress Avenue has been encroached on by multiple properties, particularly near the corner of Washington and Congress. So this is kind of an ongoing situation. We are trying to have set boundary lines to prevent further encroachment. So I guess one of the issues I have legally is, if there's an encroachment, then where is the line, and who determines that line, and are we right back to square one with another landowner trying to reclaim city property that was never intentionally given up? So that's kind of the issue legally that I have with it. So it may be private property, but I haven't seen the survey, so I would need to compare that with the survey.
So the real issue at hand is whether or not it's city property or private property. It's not an issue of where the right-of-way exists. It's an issue of who owns the property.
Well, the right-of-way is city property. That's the whole issue. The city has the right to use that for widening streets, sidewalks, installation of utilities. A right-of-way is city property, and it's held for the benefit of the entire public.
So to kind of clarify, so the city has easements and they have right-of-ways. So when the term right-of-way is used, it's city property. An easement would be on a private property where we'd have access through it for a sewer line, water line, or what have you. But in this case, the street width is
132
feet, I think, wide.
From the city's inception in 1789.
Right, so we have that document. I guess the trick is trying to figure out where's the center line. So that's what, because the center line makes a big difference. Are we going to scoot on one side or the other? And just looking at what we know through the trial that we're involved in, we have a pretty good line of sight of where that comes up. And if you follow that line of sight, as I mentioned earlier, then 101 North Washington, it's like right up against that wall. I would challenge whether or not the building's on the city right away or not. But, so that's how deep it goes into your side, or the side that you want to put your food truck on from the center line of Congress Avenue.
Any other questions from council? Councilmember Boyer?
Yeah, I just want to understand the problem just a little bit more here. So is there a need for the food truck related to your alcohol permit?
No, ma'am. So we do provide prepackaged food and snacks. However, what we've been receiving as feedback from our customer base is that, one, they prefer a variety of food, and two, you can only have, I guess, Italian food so many times. The other restaurants are not really, I guess, designed to support that kind of takeout, either volume or quick turnaround, so there's really limited options for what our customers can have. So in this case, it is not related to our liquor license, but it is related to, I guess, our intention to grow and expand the brewery.
And do your customers use DoorDash or anything?
We've had that, but we've had some issues with just turnaround time. Often takeout and delivery are 45 minutes to an hour or more.
Okay, thank
so
you.
That's why La Cucina is very, very nice. You can go over and grab a slice anytime you want, so that's been very helpful.
Any other questions from council? Councilmember Robertson?
I'm sorry to keep asking so many things, but I guess, so the real factor is gonna be what the surveys look like, right? So if Mr. Banks can provide a survey, and then we compare that with what you just had done recently, would that be the next course of action for these guys?
Yeah, there might be workarounds, like there are boundary line agreements we can do, there are sale purchase, like there's different things we can do. But I point out that a lot of times in the past, these things were done as encroachments without the city formally relinquishing the property, and that's why we get into these issues. That particularly McGregor's comes to mind, and Creole. They actually added that extension on without getting approval to be on the city property. That's how they got grandfathered in, because nobody wanted to tear it out. But this is a movable instance, this is a movable truck, so there might be a different workaround. But the lease licensing thing, we've been moving away from that, so for legal consistency, I'd like to see a more permanent solution than just doing a lease or license, because then what'll end up happening, anytime somebody wants to encroach on city property, they want a lease or license. And right now, we've been limiting that to things like signs, et cetera. But this is basically, this is a more permanent encroachment on the 132 Congress Avenue right-of-way, which we just had a 4-year legal dispute over at the end of the street. So we need to have a more permanent solution than just granting a one-time fix. I guess that would be my recommendation. It requires a little more study.
Okay, so in simple terms,
Mm-hmm.
what can these guys do next, or what do they need from us? What's the next course of action? I understand that, we're gonna have to think about it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess the next course of action would be for me to review the survey, get with Steve, and see what we think they would need to provide, Mr. Banks would need to provide in response to what we found, and then come up with something from that point. It would definitely involve the owner of the property. It would involve Mr. Banks.
Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner?
So, April, if you gentlemen stated that the food trucks are different sizes. So if it turns out the encroachment is only a couple feet, then possibly you could only hire food trucks that would fit into the private property space, and you could actually do this legally without having to do anything with the property line or get a lease agreement for the right-of-way, if you would be able to find sufficient variety of food, let's say, with a specific size food truck. So when you go to call your vendors, not only would you be asking them about their insurance, their licensure, et cetera, the size of the food truck, and that they would understand that it could not be expanded upon under any circumstances because of the ordinance that we have in place.
Correct, ma'am. That was our understanding.
Okay, so I mean, there is an option, but it just has to be, you might be limited in terms of what you can offer, but then you would be in compliance with existing law.
the building 361 Congress, it's a small brick building owned by Brian Bangs. The wall of that actually sits further away from the center line of Congress than that colored wall of Chris's Barbershop. So there's some margin there. Chris's Barbershop's wall is the end of the right-of-way, then there's some degree of margin between his wall and where the wall of this building starts. I don't know what that number is.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't know until we see the plot plan and the survey. But based on, let's say, assuming that it's only a matter of a couple of feet that when the survey comes in, but it's still city right-of-way, then the option that you have is to hire only specific size food trucks to, offer something more to your customers.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it.
Any other questions or comments from council? Mr. Bang, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, please.
Please, go ahead.
So as I listened to what you guys are talking about with the right-of-way, I'll be honest, from having owned the building, if it's gonna come down to whether a truck is hanging out in the right-of-way, based on what you guys are saying, that's not gonna be realistic, because I'm fully aware of what that right-of-way is. In other words, back in the day, before Shane was here, I dealt with Jay on it, and I had a 10-year lease agreement for that space, okay? It was never an issue. I had, a boutique there, I had different things there, it was never an issue. As far as I get from a legal standpoint what you're trying to say, but if we're gonna go through the town and try and paint everything with the same brush in this town, it's gonna be kinda goofy. I mean, because I own buildings around town that literally overhang onto other people's property. Likewise with mine, it's a very unique town. I mean, that's one of the reasons I like it so much, is because it has that unique thing to it, which sometimes can create a little bit of a have to think outside the box kind of thing. And the reality is that's what this is going to take, is for you guys to realize that these, two guys came to me, with what their vision is. I mean, they've been awesome the whole way with, the first brewery to come to town. They're doing a great job. They got another job going while they're kicking butt doing this. I admire that. Certainly I'll do anything to help them with that. But I mean, I just hope that the town's gonna, think the same way to do things to help them with that. Because if you're gonna think just that way, I understand you guys had a headache down there at the park or whatever. Nobody likes that kind of stuff. But if this is gonna be treated just straight across the board, no matter what, and put that, treat them the same way with that, it's never gonna work anyway. I mean, it's just not. And over the years, I've definitely seen in town a little bit of, I don't know the right term, but almost kind of like a little bit of, I guess like a territorial thing where like, hey, are these guys coming in trying to not be, conscious of the businesses, the restaurants and stuff like that? That's not what these guys are doing. They're saying, hey, I want to put a Thai truck, I want to put something else like that. And I'm even a little further than that. Like, I mean, I believe that competition is good no matter what. That's the world of business I come from, is more competition, the better. Everybody could have their own opinion on that. That's not what these guys are doing. They're just trying to do something that complements the town. So as far as that goes with what you were talking about from a legal standpoint, I think if it does come down to a right-of-way issue, it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, that's not what this is. And they may not be aware of that, but I can tell you that by looking at the thing. So it's really going to be up to you guys whether you guys believe these guys are going to do something good for the town, and it makes sense. And like I said, I mean, it was fine. I know you guys, change as you go, but, I had that lease agreement, for 10 years. I never had a problem with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Banks. Mr. Wilson and Mr. Hurst, first of all, I want to thank you both for choosing Havre Grace to open your business. I've been to your establishment several times, and you're both excellent at what you do, your product, and I believe your business is good for our city. We thank you. We understand what you're requesting. We understand the logic behind it, and you are going about it the right way. You can come to a city council meeting and lay out your ideas, and there's a deliberation, and obviously we owe you an answer one way or the other. If council should take this up and move forward, or if council wishes to stick with the current ordinance, one way we'll get you an answer. Normally what we would do I'm just guessing, I would call upon Councilmember Ringstocker, who chairs the planning committee, with 2 other council members. Would probably be discussed, the merits and the pros and the cons, and then may call upon you to maybe attend their meeting. So when Councilmember Ringstocker has his next, you have him frequently, I know you do. What I'm saying is somebody's gonna be in touch. But either way, you deserve an answer, and not just be hanging out there, you know, with a never-ending decision to be made on it. So there's some things that need to be worked out. I do know, as a previous legislator for 7 years before I became mayor, every right-of-way is different in the city, depending on the street and everything. It's just, Mr. Bang said, you can't really use a brush to paint every single thing the same way. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But, you know, but you do deserve an answer. But also wanted to thank you for what you do for the city as well at the same time, and for working with us and helping out the community. So you'll be hearing from somebody from City Hall soon, and you'll be in touch with Mr. Ringstocker, who's the chair of the planning committee meeting, and usually that would come out of a committee recommendation situation.
I'll stop in and see you, but I'll stop in sooner if you have more cream ale on your menu.
Yeah, that committee meeting might happen sooner than later. So.
I did like the Dunkel this weekend.
So anyway, any further comments, gentlemen? Any further questions from council?
I think, can we have our planning committee meeting on site, you know, to survey the landscape?
Oh, I'm fine with that. We need to check it out and bring a tape measure for 132 feet.
That's the kind of personal service this council is willing to give you. So, anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
For your time, sir.
Okay, we are still under comments from citizens on agenda items or any city business. Raise your hand if you wish to speak. Sir. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the city council meeting. May we please have your name and address for the record.
How's everybody tonight? My name is Jim Miller. I live at 320 Lewis Street, not Lane, 2 different locations.
Welcome back, Mr. Miller.
Down in the historic district near the hospital. The last presentation that was talked about here dealt with lease agreements. In the past, the city used to record those lease agreements with the property deeds. So in the future, there was no questions asked whether this property belonged to the city or belonged to the person. In the history of Havre, there have been houses where they enclosed the front porch on the city right-of-way, made living space, and then they turned around and they sold that house with the living space as part of their assumed property. The particular piece of property that they were talking about, if you go back in history, there was a bike shop there, and they built a deck so they could put their kayaks out there. And then in the middle of the night, the bike shop and the kayak business loaded up everything, left town, filed a police report that someone stole all their kayaks until a neighbor had them on video, and they said, oh yeah, we forgot, we put them on our truck. But when that lease agreement was signed, once that business changed, that deck was supposed to come out of there. Same thing across the street, where when they filmed the Young Americans TV show and they made a gas station and they put a piece of asphalt in there for a driveway, once the show was done, part of that lease agreement, everything came out. Didn't come out, somebody put a picnic table there, and then now it's, somebody considers it their property. If you really want to know where the property lines are in Havre, if you go on Google Earth, they have a little measuring device there. And the Malin properties across the street are some of the oldest houses that were built. They're probably right on the property line. So you stretch that tape measure 132 feet, and you'll find that it not only includes the wall, but some other pieces of property too. And you can do that all the way up and down the street. Same thing with Union Avenue. Most of the streets in Havre Race are 70-foot wide. Water Street's not. Some of the older streets in different areas are not 70 feet wide, but people encroach all over the place. So that's why I say if you put this in a recorded deed, it might cost the people a little bit more money, but if they're interested in doing it, then we have a record, and then when they go to sell the piece of property, there's that deed restriction on there. Because usually on a lease agreement, there's a clause that says, once you stop using it, you have to take it out. It's not transferable. So I think the city should go back to that. It was done in the 60s and 70s, and then for some reason it went away. If you go back into the history books, when Weddick Brothers Boatyard, that lease agreement was recorded in the county courthouse for the Weddick Brothers to rent that piece of city property. So there was no questions asked that said, hey, this is our boatyard, we want to sell it. And then the city went through at the time when the new development went in behind the firehouse there, they had to prove it was their property, not the Weddick's property. So there's just things that, you know, would be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Who else in the audience wishes to address the council? Mr. Racine? Mr. Hayden, I'll get you next. Good evening and welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Yes, Kevin Racine, 1818 Ontario Street. One of the things that was my concern at the last council meeting was the mention of census. I've spent the last 40 years, since I'm a Havre Grace original, I should say, but the whole understanding of the census is just not looking at one area. It's how the map will be drawn up to benefit everyone. So if we're going to put things in, we need to look at all aspects of what we want Harford County to look like, so it can serve not just one person or one group of people, but it will influx a graphic view of how the roads and the buses and other concerns of the curb cuts and so forth can be maintained in a setting where people will even want to come to Havre Grace more. I spent a lot of time walking around this community, and I just wish that when we're talking about the census that we are just not looking at just one thing. I've served down in Baltimore City looking at things. I've done it in Baltimore County. I've done it in Howard, Carroll, and it's been really amazing that I was invited to the table to show how I'm able to get things done as an outsider and how we can benefit people, not only our veterans, but others, to get to their doctor's offices and so forth. So if there's anything that I can do of the minutes and stuff, my name is in there, I'm sure, in Harford County government, and seeing what we can get accomplished overall. Okay? I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hayden. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the City Council meeting. Can we please have your name and address for the record?
Yes, Michael Hayden, 108 Market Street.
Welcome.
I'm here to comment on the whole brewery situation. Maybe I missed the point, but this is a food truck. We're talking about a food truck 2 days a week. We're not talking about a anything permanent structure. So I don't see what the big deal is about the right-of-way is. These gentlemen have invested in Havre Grace, and I would think that we would want them to succeed, but instead, it seems like you're more concerned about your precious right-of-way for a food truck that'll be there 2 nights a week. I just don't understand it myself. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to address the council? Any comments from council members? Okay, we'll move on to item 7. Appointments. Item A, economic, well, we have several appointments here. We have 3. We have Economic Development Advisory Board appointment, and I will refer that to Councilmember Robertson, the liaison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to appoint Ms. Megan Parker to the Economic Development Advisory Board.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Ring Socker. This is a motion to appoint Ms. Megan Parker to the Economic Development Advisory Board. Questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Parker for volunteering to serve. She's already joined us at an EDAB meeting and went on a field trip with us. She is coming to us from Solvay, which is kind of filling a gap that we have with the current membership of the EDAB with the industrial folks. So she's really hitting that hole and helping us get some of the perspective from the industrial folks here in the community, because we have a lot of different folks that serve on EDAB right now, all different sectors of the economy. So it's really great. Really look forward to serving with you. Thank you for stepping up, and looking forward to the rest of the council's support.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Megan Parker to the Economic Development Advisory Board carries 6-0 in the affirmative by the council. Thank you. Item B, we have 2 reappointments to the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board. Liaison, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move we make a motion to reappoint Mr. John Curry Jr. and Mr. Chad Packard to the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by the Council President. This is for the reappointment of John Carreri and Chad Packard to the Street Traffic Safety Advisory Board. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, both of these gentlemen have provided wonderful viewpoints and perspectives for us. Mr. Ferrari focusing on ambulance corps, Mr. Packard in regards to the fire company. They've been a wonderful, like I said before, resource, and would like to keep them on the panel if possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to reappoint John Gray Jr. and Mr. Chad Packard to the Street Traffic Safety Advisory Board carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Item C, an appointment to the Tourism Advisory Board. I'll refer to the liaison of the Tourism Advisory Board, and that'd be Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This time I make a motion to add Jolene Forrester to the Tourism Advisory Committee.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Martin to have a second. Second by Councilmember Robertson. This is for the appointment of Ms. Jolene Forrester to the Tourism Advisory Board. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, Jolene's going to make a great addition. Her heart is Havre. She works at Joe Retro's. She's doing the Pyrex festivals. She is also going to be representing the businesses in Havre de Grace on the Tourism Advisory Board as Christine Silverstein has stepped down.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer.
I think that she's a wonderful addition to this committee. You know, if you want to get something done, ask one of the busiest people in town to do it. Not only does she have a wonderful business model, she's already worked with her own special events in our downtown, but in addition to that, she is working on having like a boutique kind of lodging available above her shop. I think she's wonderful. She's the type of person that thinks outside the box, and we need more people like that on our committees. So, absolutely.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Jolene Forrester to the Tourism Advisory Board carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council. We're going to move on to item 8, oath of office. 2 were first-time appointments, so I will need to swear each member in independently. If I could please ask Ms. Parker to join me in the well, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being willing to spend your valuable time on our commission, so thank you. And, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swear you into office, and, this won't take very long, so I'm gonna ask you to repeat some words after me. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start it like this. I'm going to say the word I. Just repeat the word I and then say your name, okay? I'm gonna hold this like right back here. I
Megan Parker,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll fulfill the requirement
that I'll fulfill the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume.
of the office I'm about to assume,
I'll support the Constitution of the United States.
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
That I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof.
and laws thereof,
That I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Economic Development Advisory Board
as a member of the Economic Advisory
of the City of Havre Grace
of the City of Havre Grace,
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well done. Well done. Goes into the city record. Right here for me, please. You. Everyone who serves the commission gets a 5.5. Appreciate it. Can I get a picture real quick? Ms. Forrester? Congratulations, and thank you so much for being willing to serve time. I know you're a very busy lady. But I'm going to ask you to perhaps stand over right here, that way we can be on camera. Just like Ms. Parker, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, please say the word I and state your name. I
Jolene Forrester,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll fulfill the requirement
that I will fulfill the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume.
of the office I'm about to assume,
That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States.
That I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof.
and laws thereof.
I will faithfully and impartially,
I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Tourism Advisory Board
as a member of the Tourism Advisory Board
for the City of Havre
for
Grace
the City of Havre Grace
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jolene. Thank you. Excellent. two great additions to our city commission. Thank you, everybody. And reappointments. Okay, we're going to go to number 9, recognitions. This evening we have no recognitions. Number 10, proclamations. This evening we have no proclamations. Item 11, presentations. We have a presentation by our delegate, Mr. Steve Johnson, on beautification and quality of life citation. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for getting me on your agenda tonight. I appreciate it. I have a couple proclamations I'd like to present this evening. But before I do that, I would just like to say a few words. It has been a pleasure being a delegate of District 34A. And I say that because I've had great mayors, council folks, and department heads to work with. This group in Havre Grace has been exceptional. They truly have put people above party and projects above politics. And that's harder to find nowadays. So I want to thank you for doing that. I think working together, we get so much more done. And you guys have had a vision, you've had a plan, and you've worked hard to obtain a lot of those goals. You don't go around patting yourselves on the back, so that's what I'm here to do tonight. Because I appreciate what you've done. You've done subtle changes that have really transformed this community. And a lot of folks that have come here to visit or spend any time or come to events have loved it so much, they've come back and spent more time, and several of them have ended up buying homes here and moving here. So that says a whole lot to what you're doing in the city. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Delegate.
So the first proclamation I have is for quality of life. And you guys have done so much. And I want you to know that I have very limited space on these proclamations, so I could only pick the highlights, but you've done so many more things than what I have on these proclamations. But I had to limit it to so many. So on this one, I have, in recognition of quality of life improvements, include an electric trolley, restoration and reopening of the historical opera house, acquiring the high school auditorium, installed dog park, kayak ramps, downtown sound system, and playground equipment that includes new grills, picnic tables. And those are just a few of the quality of life things you have. But I only have so much space, like I've said, but I would like to present that one for the quality of life things that you've done in the city. I appreciate it, and I know the citizens appreciate it. I hear it all the time from folks inside and outside the city. The next one I have is a beautification award. And this proclamation is in recognition of the beautification improvements such as placement of public art throughout the city, including sculptures, monuments, and murals, installed streetscape improvements, community gardens, and tree uplighting. And like I said, those are only a few of the things that you guys have done to make this such a great community to come and visit, come to events, and live. So on behalf of myself and the General Assembly, I would like to present you with these proclamations and personally say thank you for all that you guys have done. I appreciate it.
Delegate Johnson, thank you so much. We appreciate all the work you do for our district. We appreciate our great line of communication we've always had with you and your office. These proclamations mean a lot to us tonight. You know, we definitely try hard for our citizens. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to receive these from you and call the Council President, Director of Administration.
Great. Thank you. For the whole team. All done a great job.
Yeah, thank you, thank all of you. Good work, Ellie, thank you.
We're going to move on to item 12 on this evening's agenda is resolutions. We have two resolutions on the agenda this evening. And it's a counter resolution concerning a temporary moratorium on the approval of permits for pain management or medication-assisted treatment for addiction clinics. And this will be in the wheelhouse of the council president. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to introduce a resolution regarding a temporary moratorium on the approval of permits for pain management or medication-assisted treatment for addiction clinics.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. This is a motion to introduce motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution concerning temporary moratorium on approval of permits for pain management, medication-assisted treatment for addiction clinics carries 6-0 in the affirmative. A resolution by the City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to Section 33 and 34 of the City Charter and Local Government and Land Use Articles of the Annotated Code of Maryland, to approve a temporary moratorium on the approval and issuance of permits within the city's municipal limits for the construction of and/or proposed use as certain medical clinics primarily engaged in treatment of pain management for medication-assisted treatment for addiction. Council, this is going to be Resolution 2021-17. 2021-17. Council, I have a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsacher, seconded by Councilmember Martin. Question or comments? Council President?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We passed a similar resolution back in February of 2021, but it has since expired. Additional time is required to evaluate whether zoning should be permitted or amended regarding the approval of such permits. And bottom line, we need to assess the impact on residents and neighborhoods, and to ensure that we get it right. So before we can pass any future permits, we've got some additional homework to do, and that's what this moratorium is designed to do.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any other further questions or comments? Council, I'm going to do a roll call on the resolution. Councilmember Ringsacher?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Council President Glenn?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2021-17 is adopted by the Council. Item B, counter resolution concerning adoption of an annexation plan for 3 parcels on Pulaski Highway. Councilmember Ringsacher.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce a calendar resolution concerning adoption of an annexation plan for 3 parcels on Pulaski Highway.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsacher, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction of this resolution? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution concerning concerning the adoption of annexation plan for 3 parcels on Pulaski Highway carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be Resolution 2021-18. 2021-18. A resolution by the City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Maryland Constitution, Article 11E, and the provisions of the annotated Code of Maryland, Local Government Articles Sections 4-405, and City Charter Section 34, adopting an annexation plan for 3 parcels located southeast of Pulaski Highway, consisting of 3 properties known as 1750 Pulaski Highway, 1754 Pulaski Highway, and a 3.85 acre vacant parcel for a total of 6.832 acres, more or less. Council, I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-18.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, there are 3 properties involved here, if everybody remembers where Haxel's Flags was out on Route 40. It's a new business now, I can't remember. And then going west from there is a lot where they're selling trailers. They used to store boats and stuff there. And then an unimproved parcel just further west of that for a total of 6.832 acres. There is no city water or sewer out there. They have county water and they have septic tanks out there. And there's no further impact on the schools, fire, EMS, or police.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsager. Sir, any further questions or comments? Council, this will be a roll call vote. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Calendar Resolution 2021-18 is adopted by council. Thank you very much, council members. We're going to go to item 13. This evening is ordinances. We have 3 ordinances on the docket. We have 2nd readings and 1 first reading. So we're going to start off with Ordinance 1059, which is amending and restating Chapter 49 of the Critical Area Program. This is 2nd reading. I'll start off with Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce an ordinance 1059, amending and restating Chapter 49 Critical Area Program for 2nd reading and adoption.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce Ordinance 1059 on 2nd reading. This is a motion, this is introduction only. Question or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce Ordinance 1059 on 2nd reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This is Ordinance 1059, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Havre, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre City Charter, for the purpose of amending and restating Chapter 49, Critical Areas of the Havre City Code, and adopting the digital critical area maps as referenced in the ordinance. Council, I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 1059 on 2nd reading.
Second.
A motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments before the roll call? Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, as stated before, the proposed critical area ordinance is intended to repeal and replace the existing ordinance. The update to the ordinance was mandated by the state and has been reviewed and approved by the Critical Area Commission.
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsager. Any other further questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote, Ordinance 1059. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1059 is approved and adopted by council on 2nd reading. Thank you. Item B, ordinance 1060, which is amending Chapter 25, Article 6 of the Economic Development Advisory Board. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce for second reading ordinance 1060.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce 1060 on second reading. Question or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1060 on second reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Ordinance 1060, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Havre de Grace adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of amending City Code Chapter 25, Article 6, Economic Development Advisory Board. Council, I have a motion to adopt 1060 on second reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments for the adoption? Roll call vote. Councilmember Ringsager, how say ye?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1060 is adopted on second reading. Thank you very much, Council. Item C is going to be ordinance amending Chapter 25, Tourism Advisory Board, and this is going to be a first reading. And we're going to refer to the liaison of the Tourism Advisory Board, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. This time I'm making a motion to accept and amend ordinance Chapter 25, Article Set, Tourism Advisory Board.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Martin. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce on first reading an ordinance. This is for the introduction only. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance regarding amending Chapter 25, Article 7 of Tourism Advisory Board carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This is going to be ordinance 1061. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Havre de Grace adopted pursuant to the authority of the Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Section 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter for the purpose of amending City Code Chapter 25, Article 7, Tourism Advisory Board. Council, to have a motion to adopt 1061 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, this is to clear up some of the wording and to make some simple changes. One is on line 42. It's to remove the Maryland Office of Tourism and replace it with Havre de Grace Alliance Incorporated. The Maryland Office of Tourism has not participated in any of the Tourism Advisory Board meetings in the last several years. The second amendment would be line 50, and it would be line 51, again, would be removing Office of Tourism and Harford County Tourism Council, and adding back into that the Visit Harford Incorporated, which was changed back on March 16th, 2020, and we just forgot to change in the lower section. We had dropped Harford County Tourism Council, but forgot to add in the second section, Visit Harford Incorporated.
Gotcha.
this is all information.
So you just explain it. Yeah, gotcha. Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Okay, this is going to be a roll call vote on Ordinance 1061 on first reading. Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager,
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner,
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1061 concerning amending Chapter 25, Article 7 of the Tourism Advisory Board is adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, we'll have the public hearing on October 18th at 7 p.m. prior to our next meeting.
Fair enough. Public hearing on Ordinance 1061 will be at the next council meeting, prior to the next council meeting at 7 o'clock, October 18th, right here at City Hall. Thank you very much, council. Okay, we're going to move on to number 14 here, old business. This evening we have no old business. Item 15, new business. We do have a few items here. We have 3 items on new business, all special events. And we got the Homecoming Parade, Veterans Parade, and the Candlelight Tour. So we're going to start off with Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before you tonight, 3 events that are recurrent events that have occurred over the years. The first one being the Havre Grace High School Homecoming Parade. It is sponsored by the Havre Grace PTSA. It will occur on the 14th of October. It'll begin at, setup time will be at 4 p.m. The actual parade will be from 5:30 to 6, and then it'll quickly dismantle thereafter. This year is a little bit different. The route of travel, instead of coming from Hutchins Park, will actually start, and there is a map within your packet. It'll start at the Pennington Avenue lot. It'll move toward the downtown, which is up to Stokes Street, right on Stokes, another right on Congress, and then come down with another right on Juniata, and then wind up at the new Harris Stadium. So a little bit different, a little shorter. The police department will be handling it with normal patrol and just closing the streets down as the parade moves through the streets. So there you'll see that there is no cost whatsoever between PD and DPW. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve the Homecoming Parade.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
They're going to be ending right in front of the stadium?
Correct.
Like in the street there, or are they going to be actually going into the stadium?
According to what they have provided, it'll be stopping there. I'm not sure if they can drive onto the field or not, like they did in the other days at the old football field. So I think they'll stop, they'll dismount, and then go back and park into the lot.
I'm sorry.
That was my question. I was confused by it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Havre Grace High School Homecoming Parade for October 14, 2021 is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Veterans Day Parade, Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will have a Veterans Day Parade this year, sponsored by the Joseph L. Davis American Legion, Post 47. Of course, the event will occur on November the 11th. The setup time starts at 11 a.m. The actual parade will begin at 1 p.m., end about 2 p.m., and break down thereafter. The lineup will occur down at Hutchins Park, but may spill over a bit onto St. John Street based on the participation. The route will then come up Congress Avenue to Washington Street, Washington to St. John, and end at the American Legion. The call sheets are attached. Very minor cost, and that's for DPW to set out barricades and then retrieve them, and some coning and no parking signs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, I have a motion to approve Veterans Day Parade.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Veterans Day Parade, November 11th, 2021 is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Your final event application this evening, Council, is the 2021 Candlelight Tour, sponsored by the Lockhouse Museum. It will occur on December the 11th. There is a rain date, which will be the next day, Sunday, December 12th. The times will be set up around 12 o'clock. The actual event will be 4 to 8, and then a breakdown between 8 and 9. As Council recalls, there's luminaries that are set out on Union Avenue, so there'll be no parking along the avenue and other areas along the route. There is a map of each of the locations where the tour will be held. This year's tour is going to be, I think, a combination of both actual tours of homes, and then along with the way, strategically, they've also added in some porch music to kind of keep everybody engaged. The special event worksheet is just a DPW cost of $367.50. PD will handle it on normal patrol, and again, the cost is for no parking signs and deploying those, and some cones. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve the Candlelight Tour.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ringsager, second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 2021 Candlelight Tour, December 11th, 2021 is approved for various locations throughout the city. 6-0 in the affirmative. I'm sure it'll have good weather. Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Thank you very much, Council. We're going to go to item 16, which is the reports from our directors. And we'll start off with the Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, just a few things. First, I'd like to thank you for passing both Resolution 2021-17 and 18. The moratorium for pain management, I think, is very important so we can continue to gather data and come back with a solid recommendation to Council. The Annexation 2021-18, not only would I like to thank Council for their support there, but also to the City Attorney. These annexations are a pretty stiff workload, and gathering information through efforts of Mr. Grimm and his department, and getting all the T's crossed and I's dotted. For Council's knowledge, we'll probably, prior to the end of this calendar year, perhaps come back with 2 additional annexations. One would be westbound Route 40, could possibly be most all the properties from the area of where Dunkin' Donuts is, west all the way to possibly as far as the Car Star. We have several people that have contacted the planning department in areas that we haven't been focused on that are requesting annexation, primarily the same reason, it's septic driven. We know where Ron Adams Chevrolet, and there's some those parcels along westbound in that area of the intersection that will be coming on board shortly. We may also have one additional that will come in with that group as well, and that's the former Lamson property. And we're just waiting for their legal team to finalize a few things before we start down that path. We have had a number of annexation requests in addition to the Route 40 area up along Bully Rock Parkway, sort of some properties that are back along Earlton Road, and quite frankly, at this time, we'll be pushing those off probably till having discussions on them probably spring. It's, again, a great deal of workload, And also, we really have to do, Mr. Woody's gonna have to look at capacities and so forth, and that's a kind of different area of the city. And I guess, that'll be it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori.
I did want to mention, I wasn't going to bring it up yet because I feel like it might be bad luck. So we're working with the Vulcan Quarry and the fireworks shooters and all those pieces. We met 2 weeks ago, last week, and then again today. All the pieces seem to be coming into place, but I don't want to be the guy that something happens in the fireworks and get shot off. So
Don't want to be that guy. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it works out. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Grimm.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and citizens. Just wanted to let you know that the Planning Commission and Board of Appeals will be convening most likely in November and December to review a couple different projects. One of the things I'll let you know that's happening is you're going to see a lot of activity, or maybe you're not because it's off the beaten path, but you're going to see a lot of activity in the industrial park off of Old Bay Lane. A number of projects that are coming in. The most visible will be the old Sherwin-Williams at the corner there. They will be constructing additions on top of the old footprint that they tore down. They've done a very nice job with cleaning up that property. We have some new tenants that are doing improvements to buildings on Clark Road, as well as interest from other property owners that have a significant amount of acreage where they would like to subdivide and build another building, whether it be a spec building for a warehouse, warehousing, wholesaling, that type of use. Also, there's another building that is a little bit further down Old Bay Lane that will be completely demolished and the site completely redeveloped. I do not have a user at this time for that, but there's 4 projects going on just right there in the industrial park, so that's exciting. So there's a lot of interest in the industrial park and doing some things there. So we'll be seeing some of those things come before the Planning Commission. Also, I wanted to let you know that the issue of Airbnb and short-term rentals is coming up again, and that issue is going to be discussed by myself and the city attorney and the administration about the issues surrounding that. So the city at this time, or the Department of Planning in consultation with the administration, we believe that it's probably a good time, much like the pain management clinics, that we also look at a moratorium on short-term rentals so we can figure out what the issues are, determine whether our code is currently adequate to be able to address that, or if we need to do something different and propose legislation to handle those issues. So in the next coming weeks, we'll be talking about that and possibly be bringing something before council for a moratorium there. And we've received a number of inquiries about those short-term rentals. Lastly, I'd like to thank the council for approving the critical area ordinance. I've said it before. I wish Diane Claire was here, but she's on a much-deserved vacation. The monumental task it is for what's is seemingly a very small piece of what we do. It takes a lot of effort and coordination with the State Critical Area Commission, and I really thank the Critical Area Commission. They were patient with us since we're very different from other communities along the Chesapeake. And so Diane put nearly, I think, 2 years worth of effort in, which we thought would only be a year, but the state kept coming back to us and saying, no, we think we should do this or do that, or things were changing at the state. So that was a monumental task. Kudos to her, and we look forward to, or sometimes I don't look forward to, you know, dealing with the critical area regulations because they can be challenging, but we do appreciate you taking them under consideration and adopting those. And there's a lot of other stuff that's going on in planning, and I'll get to probably the next session, but thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. Grimm, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments, appreciate the update. We're going to go with Mr. Doherty, Director of Finance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. The current financial situation in the city is as follows. The general fund. The fund balance is a little over $10.23 million, and it's about $1.5 million ahead of the budget estimates for this time. The primary factors causing that, you're at $1.25 million over to start the year from where we thought, even after the budget amendment that was passed. Our salaries and benefits are, because of the vacancies, are running about $315,000 below budget. Grants, unfortunately, right now are about 395,000 behind schedule, but most of those will be made up. That's a timing issue of getting the capital project started because they're reimbursement type grants. So I don't think there's anything at risk. Real property taxes run at just about 95,000 over our budget estimates for the year under the constant yield. And non-personnel spending right now is running about 270,000 below budget, which are the major factors causing that $1.5 million ahead of budget schedule at this time. The water and sewer fund. The fund balance is sitting at 150,000 plus a shekel or two. It is increased almost 890,000 for the year. The operational profit was $665,000. Add to that almost $925,000 worth of capital fees. We are at 36 connections already year to date, which is almost half of, I believe it is half of the budgeted estimate, and we're only finishing the first quarter, so we're really cruising on that. And we've spent on capital projects and debt services a little over $700,000. The Marina Fund, the fund balance is sitting at just over $825,000. It is decreased about $130,000 for the year. We're running at about $100,000 operating loss, which is not unusual considering most of the revenues come in during the late second quarter, early third quarter with the slip fee renewals. So this is not unexpected. And right now, capital projects have spent just under $30,000 for the year. And that's what's happening in the three major funds as we speak today. And that's my report for this evening, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Horty, thank you very much. We appreciate the update. Thank you. Mr. Whitty, Director of Public Works, how are things going?
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. A couple of things. We will be, we did solicit and awarded the contract for paving to Gettner. We piggybacked on the county contract, and they'll be starting paving in about 2 weeks. So we're going to do, right now, Seneca Avenue from Revolution to Wilson. We're going to do Clark Lane in the industrial area. And then we're going to do Erie Street, 5, 6, and 700 blocks. It leaves us $69,000 left in the budget. I have Joe Conaway identifying a couple more projects that we're going to run by you. So to close out that. The Commerce Street sewer will be completed this week. They did come into a manhole that they're going to replace. But the only other thing is there's a parallel, I think I've spoke about this before, is a parallel 6-inch sewer. We don't know why that was put in there. So we're going to deactivate that line and then reconnect the homes that are connected to the new improved sewer. The intake pipes at the water treatment plant, that's moving along under construction. Marina, the county did allow us to utilize the remaining capacity at the DMP at Swan Harbor Farms, and the engineering on that project continues. That project's been totally funded, both engineering and construction, by Department of Natural Resources. So that's the funding is all lined up for that. We're in the neighborhood of about $1 million. National Guard Pump Station is in for final approval from Maryland Department of the Environment. Once we get that, then we're going to advertise that project. Unfortunately, we run into an issue with supplies, and while we've awarded the Green Street, Wilson Street, Old Bay Lane Waterline projects, and the force mains at down by the water plant and at the Tidings Park to Gettner, the issue here is getting the pipe, and so they're struggling to get the pipe and fittings, and that's kind of what's delayed those projects. Lily Run, as we due to Harris Field, the ground contamination, we had to move that project, and so we've moved this Lily Run project up from Harris Field and started it at the city-owned property on Ebonics, and we've moved it across, and we're taking it across Havre Grace Elementary School, and then to the rear of the properties along Wilson Street. So we've got a conceptual plan we put together, and we actually sent out letters and the concept plan to the property owners that border that project, and sent those out last week, and we actually got responses back in the mail today, so that's a good sign. You know, that project will address not only obviously the water quality and MS4 component, which we have to strive to meet, but also the flooding issues that plague that community. So that's the issue here, to try to get that resolved. We are partnering with the county on that project, and we're going to split the credits, and we have sent the plan over there. They had some minor comments which we addressed, and they're going to get back with us on the final approval of the concept plan. So it's a partnering with the county on that project, and we'll split the engineering costs and such. And then finally, Water Street project. That project is scheduled for approval with the state permits by the Board of Public Works the end of this month. And then we are scheduled to meet with the Army Corps of Engineers this month as well. Both meetings will occur in Havre. That's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent, Mr. Woody. Thank you very much for the detailed update. Appreciate it. Captain Crass, it's good to see you here. How you been?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for having me,
Absolutely.
council members. Just a couple things that we wanted to share. So PFC Brian Adams and K9 Kira, they're back in the city. So they just completed patrol school, and so they completed several weeks of training and were certified. So we now have 2 fully trained patrol and narcotics detection dogs on our police force, and it's my understanding that they did very well in the school. So we congratulate them for that. And the last thing we wanted to sort of remind our citizens, the weather's been nice. There's a lot of people out walking. So just a reminder to our drivers, please pay attention to our crosswalks. And if there are civilians that are in the crosswalk, you're required to stop, let them to proceed across. And so second to that, our pedestrians, please use the crosswalks. So, everybody will try to shortcut it sometimes, and again, it's sometimes hard to see, so the crosswalks are designed for the drivers to see them and then keep an eye out. So, anyway.
Thank you very much, Captain Crass. Appreciate the update. And again, it's good to see you here. We're going to go to item 17, business from the mayor's office. I have a list of things I want to run down real quick. I'll try to be as brief as I can. So happy fall, everybody. It's now October. Weather's changing, as Captain Crass said. It's getting nicer out, at least it should be. And a lot of things happen in the city, especially in the month of October. We just got done our last scheduled First Friday the other day, and it was beautiful weather out there. A lot of people seemed to enjoy themselves, a lot of families, a lot of kids. There will not be one in November, but there will be an event on the first Friday in December. It's called Holly Jolly First Friday. And there'll be the tree lighting there and a parade. And so, even though it's not called First Fridays, it's called Holly Jolly. It's the Christmas tree lighting on the first Friday in December.
Can we take a break?
Okay. 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 So, a couple other things just to run over to Wine and Seafood Festival. That was last weekend on September 25th. Was well attended. And I want to thank the promoter, Ms. Beth Merchant, for doing a professional job and bringing a lot of people to our city. A few things coming up this weekend. October 9th at Concord Point Park will be the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival. The following weekend on October 16th will be the Oktoberfest. The weekend after that will be the Arts Festival, or the Art Show. And so we have a lot of things going on, and they're all going to be at Concord Point Park where the lighthouse is. So we encourage you to come out with your families and enjoy the good weather. Let's see here. Not only are the events busy, but our permit office is busy as well. We've had 30 new construction permits issued this past month in September. 15 of them, 15 renovation and addition permits as well. We always like to keep track of that too. When people are it's not always about new construction sometimes, it's also about how many people are investing money into the homes they already have. That's really a good sign for our community, when people believe, when you believe in the community and you want to keep making your house look nice and not let it go to weed. You know, that's always a good sign when people are making their homes look beautiful. So people have been busy lately in Havre de Grace with construction. So speaking about another thing, that's going to be a big project. You've heard us mention in the past the auditorium and gymnasium. Well, even though we have a feasibility study that's being hopefully rendered pretty soon about the future disposition of the auditorium and gymnasium, the fact of the matter is we have a perfectly good gymnasium across the street that we would like to start using for our kids. There's a basketball court there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it other than the fact that it has a lot of debris in the building that needs to be removed. I'm not saying it's trashed. I'm just saying it once was a school that when the teachers left, oh, there's some pictures. Okay, it's trashed. Sorry, call me that. I was trying to be nice about it. No, but no, it's the school has been, you know, when the teachers left to go to the new school, they really couldn't take anything with them because everything was being new and there was no place at the new school for the old stuff. So there's cabinets and desks and, you know, just old 25-year computers and whatnot. And before we open up the gymnasium, not talking about the auditorium, I'm talking about the gymnasium where the basketball courts are. Before we open that up to the public and we have kids in there and families, we want to make sure it's clean. We want to make sure it's safe. And so we would like to ask for some help from the community. And so we were talking about October 23rd, having a little community cleanup with some people that can volunteer to help us clean that up to get it ready for the kids to use. Why October 23rd? Because October 23rd is National Make a Difference Day. It's National Make a Difference Day. Make a Difference Day was established to help encourage us to take one day a year to try to make difference in the world. In this case, make a difference in our community by volunteering to help remove the trash and litter from our former high school auditorium and gymnasium. The city is asking for volunteers to commit 2 hours of their time on October 23rd to assist with removing trash and litter from the inside of the gymnasium. The Saturday cleanup will be broken down into 2-hour work groups beginning at 8 in the morning and hopefully ending at 2. So you could take like an 8 to 10 shift or a 10 to 12 shift. Or if you really take your vitamins that day, maybe you can do 2 shifts. You never know. If you'd like to contribute and help us out, we would definitely appreciate your valuable time. And if you go to the city website, you'll see an icon on the city website for a sign-up block if you'd like to come. We just like to have an idea if we're going to be standing there by ourselves or if we're going to actually have people to help us. But we'd like to get it done in one morning. The city will get some roll-offs, and I mean, of course, anything of value, of use, of furniture we won't throw away. It belongs to the citizens of Havre de Grace at this point. But there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of like just trash, general stuff that has no value left to it. And so there's my sales pitch. So hopefully maybe people out there in TV land watching this on Saturday the 23rd, if you want to, even if you just want to walk into the old gymnasium again and to see what it looks like. It's been a while. We'd like to get it up to par and get it ready for our kids so they can use for Parks and Rec, whether it's basketball or wrestling or volleyball or indoor soccer. That's always been our whole point of saving that building is to get it into the hands of kids. So it's time. It's time. We just need to clean up a little bit, make it safe. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us through call City Hall 939-1800 or just go to the website. Thank you. The other, speaking of auditoriums, the Opera House is back in action. They just completed a run on SpongeBob SquarePants, directed by Miss Bambi Johnson. It was an excellent play. Council President, I know you had a chance to go see it too. Did you like it?
Awesome.
More importantly, did your grandson like it?
And I couldn't wait to smile off his face.
Okay, all right, that's all that matters. It was a great play. It was well done, very, very well done, and there's all kind of great stuff going. I know the production Annie is coming to the Opera House, and It's a Wonderful Life. There's going to be a little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer skit coming too. So, you know, best of luck to everybody. Good luck. I'm actually not supposed to say good luck. You're supposed to say break a leg, break a femur, or something like that. Okay, sorry. Gotcha. Anyway, so thank you. And so, yeah, please support the Opera House. And two more things real quick. So at the last council meeting, I gave a presentation on councilmanic redistricting. And I stood up with a couple boards and I was trying to explain to the viewing public about how important every 10 years we have to use our census data, and then we have to look at the census data in our county, and then there's a 5-member commission that makes a recommendation to the county council on what the district should look like every 10 years. And they do shift from time to time, population shifts and things like that. So that commission made a recommendation last Monday. They voted 3-2 to send a proposal to the county council. The proposal that they sent to the county council is pretty much the proposal that the city of Havre de Grace and the city of Aberdeen recommended. There's a few tweaks to it, but the proposal that the redistricting commission recommended to the council does put Aberdeen and Havre de Grace into one small, tight district. And takes, I think it takes Churchville out of Aberdeen, and it takes Abingdon and Riverside out of Havre de Grace. And so it kind of puts the communities more tight. So if any layman looking at the map, you look at it, you would figure, well, that makes sense. So it's a step in the right direction. It's a big hurdle to get the commission to see the logic in it, and they did. And now it's in the hands of the county council. I believe they have 70 days to take action on it. I don't have the dates of any public hearing yet, but if you're still interested in supporting this concept plan, you can contact your county council member, county council president Vincenti. Curtis Bueller is our council member. Or just pay attention to the county website, and they'll have the public hearings posted on it. So, but it's important. Like I said, the council districts that we are represented in is always very important. So, so again, a lot of members of our community signed petitions, and they went and spoke and wrote letters to the commission. So those members of our community and the Aberdeen community, I want to thank them personally for getting involved. And finally, earlier this evening there was some discussion. The word city right-of-way came up several times. I want to talk about city right-of-way real quick because it gets used a lot, and sometimes people don't really know what a city rights, well, actually it's called rights of way, but I just call it right-of-way. But it's important because think about this for a second. If the city only owned from curb to curb of a street, and the city didn't have the right to any land in from a road, if we wanted to build a sidewalk down Union Avenue, what if one property owner said, I don't want a sidewalk on my property? You know, if we wanted to put a water line down on the side of the road, someone said, I don't want you guys digging on my property. What if every property owner on Union Avenue said, I don't want a tree on my property? I want you to think about how important it is that the city controls a little bit of the land on the other side of the road on each side. Now, I know in Havre de Grace, it's kind of it's a sore topic because we're also telling you, landowners, at the same time, you're responsible for cutting your grass, which happens to be city rights of way. We're also telling you, you better shovel the sidewalk, which happens to be city rights of way. So I understand the flip side to property owners scratching their heads sometimes, thinking, gosh, I mean, I got to treat it like it's mine. I got to cut the grass. I got to maintain it. I got to shovel the snow. But we're responsible for replacing the sidewalks or fixing any upheaved sidewalks. We're responsible for the trees on our rights of way. But it's important, and that the city retains that right. So also, if there's a water meter that's gone bad, but yet somebody built a house over it, we don't put water meters, under people's houses. We put it on land we can access. I've been on council for a while where we did approve small little dormers and things like that, but that encroach a couple feet on city rights of way. And it's true, there have been exceptions throughout time when people are like, well, I just want to put like a little wooden deck with steps that come down my house, and it's on 3 feet of the city right away. And that's why it comes before the council, because the council has to look at it. Does it cover any water lines? Does it cover a power line? Does it cover a water crock? If they vote to approve it, often there's language in there that says, if we ever have to get onto that property, we would have to remove it at your expense and things like that. And everyone's different. Every road's different too. Every road's different. Every vista, every scenery, every reason. Maybe you shouldn't put a shed or a fence where you're going to block a sight of traffic or something like that. And if the city owns that right of way, we can tell you move it back because it could be a potential hazard to cars. So again, it's a difficult story. This doesn't have anything to do with the two gentlemen that came here to talk earlier, because I just want to talk about people watch this thinking, well, why, what is the city right of way, and why does it seem like it being such a big deal? All cities need that property to function and carry out, its duties, whether it's curbing or whether it's utility maintenance, sidewalk maintenance, if a city wants to have a tree line, something that simple. And the city does plant a lot of trees. We take trees down that are diseased, and we plant them back up. But if the city didn't own that, if that wasn't a right of way, we couldn't do that. We can't plant trees on people's property. So rights of way are areas that, yes, if the property owner maintains them, but for the public good, they are under the ultimate control of the city. And so every case is different because every street's different, and they come up before the council, and everyone's weighed on their merit for whatever reason it might be. I've seen a lot of different ones in my time on council for various reasons. Some get approved, some don't get approved, but there's always a reason. It's not as arbitrary as people might think. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So listen, everybody, it's my favorite time of year. It's fall, the weather's great, leaves are changing, and there's a lot of great events coming in Havre de Grace. I'll see you around town. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to go to council comments and start with Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council, citizens. First off, condolences to Bridget Johnson on the loss of her mother today. That she's not here tonight, the city, again, is mournful with her about that loss. On a positive note, Delegate Johnson, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for recognizing the city. And we're going to extend an invitation to you. I don't know if you've got it already. MML is having their legislative dinner here in Havre de Grace. You are invited to come on October 21st. You will be getting a formal notification of that as well. The County Council heard a work session hosted by Bel Air last week. I want to thank the council president and other council members that were there. It was a very, very productive session when the county council did not think we were going to be prepared to have discussions with them. And both Havre de Grace, or not just both, Havre de Grace, Aberdeen, and Bel Air were represented by either mayors or council members. And they were able to ask questions to both the county council. Billy Boniface was representing the county executive. And we were able to discuss issues that are paramount to all three municipalities. So next month, Havre de Grace will be hosting that same county council work session. So there's an opportunity. It is open to the public. You want to see the dialogue that happens between the county council and the three municipalities. We will post this on the city website so you will be able to attend. Mr. Mayor, thank you again about recognizing our last First Friday, which was fantastic, and the Holly Jolly First Friday. But we had a reopening ribbon cutting, which is unusual. But we had a business in town that actually, through your success stories, it outgrew its location in town and decided to remain in town. So the mayor and members of the city council were there for Brookbend for their reopening ribbon cutting. And finally, the Water and Sewer Commission will be meeting this Friday at 3 o'clock here in the City Council chambers. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Councilmember Martin, thank you very much. Good evening, Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, it's a pleasure to see you. I'm hoping everybody recovered from the great Facebook outage of 2021. I went to the bathroom earlier, I was bored, I had to read a bottle of shampoo. But in all honestly, I can't stand Facebook, but I do have a page. The Marina Commission will be meeting in hopefully in here, because I think we expect some visitors, but I have to check the availability of the room on this coming Monday, the 11th, and that will be sent to Adam to put on the website, and so those details will come out with the specific time and location, but we're meeting on Monday, the 11th. We'll be discussing Airbnbs, dredging, and the upcoming report for November. I'll probably put together a PowerPoint or a clip for us to review, and I'll present that in November to the council. I'd like to thank the mayor for mentioning the Pride Festival. Look forward to that this weekend, and the Oktoberfest, which is my favorite event in town. So I will see everybody there, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsager. We're going to go with Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Please sign me up. I would be happy to walk around with a wastebasket and throw away a whole bunch of trash. Nothing makes me happier than cleaning things up like that. So that's really exciting. The Tree Commission is going to meet on the 5th of October at 7 p.m. It'll be a virtual meeting. I also attended the joint work session with Harford County Council. They let us know that there was a little bit of movement on the properties that are aligned to the city of Havre, but they are considered county properties. And they let us know that there's several of them that we would say are not necessarily in the best shape as far as the way that they're kept up, and they do not align to our requirements here in the city of Havre. And they led us to believe that there's been some movement in trying to get them to clean them up a little bit. So hopefully we'll continue the pressure. It's something that we brought up. We know it's something that we hear a lot from the community, like to see fixed up. There's probably a lot more work that needs to be done on it. But as you come in, especially on the Route 40 and Revolution areas, it kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth when you walk through and you see a bunch of trash or abandoned cars and stuff like that. And we recognize that, and we've been trying to push on our county council to step it up a little bit with enforcement and trying to improve the beautification of the areas that are on their property. We also talked quite a bit in regards to the intersection of Route 40 and Ostego, and asked the county council again for this year to make it a priority. I wasn't led to believe in that meeting that they would consider it a high priority, but it would be somewhere on their priority list. So that again is something that we would ask the citizens of Havre de Grace when you see your county councilman walking around town to nudge them and make sure that they understand it, or people running for county executive, nudge them and make sure that they know that it's a priority for the citizens of Havre de Grace to fix the Route 40 and Ostego intersection, because it is a mess. And we would like to be able to safely take our cars through that, but also for people to be able to safely walk around that intersection, since Havre de Grace is a pedestrian-friendly community. And finally, Delegate, thank you so much for coming. On your list of things, I would ask that you continue to press Exelon and the powers that be at the dam to please step it up when it comes to the sediment issues that we are having. The amount that it costs the city, not just in the time that it takes for us to identify the issue or to find a resolution for the issue on where to put all the dredged material, but getting the contracting in place, et cetera, it really is a burden on our city to constantly have to do this. It was every 8 years, now it's every 2 years. I'm a kayaker. This past Thursday, We, the Pirates of the North, the kayaking group that I belong to, had a large amount of people that came up from the Potomac area and the western Baltimore area, and they were asking about all of the sediment and why there was a lot of die-off of the grass, et cetera. It's something that they're concerned about as well, because they've heard lots of stories about it. It's very concerning. It's the importance of the bay grass is very important to not just the ecology, but also keeping our shorelines safe. And when there is a large rainstorm and they have to open up the gates, a lot of silt comes down and it acts like baby powder in water, and it completely covers the bay grass and it kills it back. So we're not helping ourselves. For as much work that we put into trying to save the bay grass, anytime there's a large storm, it completely ruins it. And it also fills in our slips, and it just makes the whole place a mucky mess. So if you could please press them on that, that'd be appreciated. Oh, and finally, it's our drinking water. So it's really that important. So thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, citizens. I just have some short comments this evening. Delegate Johnson, again, thank you for recognizing our city, and we appreciate the proclamations, and we continue to do whatever we can to continue to beautify the city and make it very livable for our residents. Just want to remind everyone the Historic Preservation Commission is going to be meeting on Tuesday, October 13th at 7 p.m. in City Hall. I too would like to thank Beth Laverick for organizing the Havre Degrees inaugural Wine and Seafood Festival. Her staff was very professional, and I want to thank them as well as the city volunteers who made the event such a big success. The weather also helped both days. It was lovely with a beautiful breeze. We couldn't have asked for better weather. And I would also like to mention that I too was at the joint work session last week with Council President and some other of our council members who spoke this evening about it. Really don't have too much to add based on what's already been said, so I won't repeat those comments, but it was very interesting. It was well attended, as was already mentioned, and everyone really did have an opportunity to speak and offer opinions and concerns and make suggestions for improvements that we would like to see long term. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. First of all, thank you, council, for passing the Veterans Day Parade. I also want to say thank you to the administration for helping get that event application together for me the last couple of weeks. It was very stressful at work, with the year-end closeout for the federal fiscal year, so I really appreciate the assist. So the Youth Commission had their Back to School Festival on September 25th. It was pretty well attended. Lots of great vendors, lots of great community partners. We were able to make and give out well over 350 bags full of supplies that were 100% donated by Staples and by the VFW and a few other folks. Excuse me. Also, we really had a lot of help from our downtown businesses. Joe Retro and Brookbend and Glyph donated for the door prizes, and Joe Retro and Joseph's Department Store loaned the ladies some outfits for the fashion show, so that was cool. I know that they were really upset they didn't get to take them home, but yeah, it was just a cool event. There was like this jump rope team that performed, and they got me out there doing double dutch with them. That was kind of cool. I haven't done that since I was a kid. And lots of inflatables. There were bumper cars, and there was this giant inflatable with like a wrecking ball that these 4 kids stood on, and each time the kid would hit the other kid, it kind of sounded like a depth charge, and the kid would fly back and hit the like a little inflatable area, and they just got to knock the snot out of each other and have fun, in a safe way. And then Get Fit opened up and was doing like a open house and a tour there, so they had some sports activities going on. So it was really cool. It was a nice way to, you know, get the kids back in gear for the school year and get them geared up too. So we're hoping to do that again next year. Like I said, really great turnout by our community partners and friends, to include the community college, the library, Growing Smiles, Lidl, the VFW, Get Fit, and the Havre Grace Arts Collective. And finally, this coming Saturday, October 9th, is the Pride Festival up at Concord Park. But prior to the Pride Festival, there's a crab feast going on at the American Legion from 12 to 4. So tickets are available online or in the lounge at the American Legion. Their number one size crabs, $65 a person or $120 a couple. Kids 13 and under are free. So be sure to check that out. Support your local American Legion, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Councilman Roberts. Good evening, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I had distinct honor and privilege to send out some Eagle Scout recognition letters to Lucas Davis and Jonah Olson, to these newly recognized Eagle Scouts. Just remember, once an Eagle, always an Eagle. And congratulations on your tremendous accomplishment. We've been attending numerous council redistricting meetings, like the mayor said, and I just want to say special thanks out to Adam Rosinski for all his legwork, hard work, and updates he continually provides us. He had us prepared going to those meetings, and it paid off. Along with my colleagues, I too attended a work session, and I reminded it that one of our top priorities in the city of Havre Grace is the school redistricting efforts. And I requested they support us, and more importantly, our kids in this endeavor. Keep in mind that for many years, our students were the students of the have-not when compared to other schools in the county. And with that being said, the students that we went to bat for deserve the opportunity to attend that new school. In countless letters to the Board of Education, I have pleaded, do not move those students to another feeder school. That cannot be on the table for discussion or consideration. Those that live in the 210 school district deserve the long-awaited opportunity to attend a new school. Bottom line, it's just the right thing to do. It's that time of the evening where I discuss Warrior Proud moments. To the girls' JV volleyball team, they beat Northeast 2-1. Girls varsity soccer beat Joppatown 11-2 and Aberdeen 5-zip. The boys soccer team beat Joppatown twice, 15-0 and 9-0. And the boys varsity football team beat Joppatown 15-0 and came back and beat Patterson Mill 35-6. And I have to say, that football team is currently undefeated in the county. The night that they beat Joppatown, James Harris Stadium sold out as we paid tribute to longtime coach Johnny Brooks, who recently lost his battle to cancer. Johnny was an outstanding athlete who led the Warriors to a state Class C championship back in 1981. And that year we beat Middletown, and the night against Joppatown, they had his jersey on display along the sidelines, number 12. After graduating from college, he returned to Havre Grace to be a great teacher, mentor, coach, and special friend to many of us. He was recognized in 2011 as Baltimore Sun's Metro Football Coach of the Year. He truly touched the lives of all he came in contact with. I've always said that people who care can and do make a difference, and Coach Johnny Brooks, without a doubt, made that difference. He will be sorely missed, and his candle burned out long before his memory ever will. Coach Brooks, rest in peace. You will never be forgotten. And remember, once a warrior, always a warrior. You truly did put Grace on top. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to say.
Well said, Council President. Thank you very much. We're going to go to item 19, adjournment. Council, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, let's see, Council President, and seconded by Councilmember Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:05 p.m. Council, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Be safe. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.